Welcome to Day Talk Stuff Ukraine War Update for the 7th of January 2025. That's better. Hold on. Just checking the sound levels. I think it's just want to make a slight improvement. Right, I think that's better. That's better. All right. Welcome, everybody. It's most of the time it isn't good news, is it, brothers? But, for years, I mean, the Russians and Ukrainians have hated each other. But Europeans, the liberal establishment, people just haven't learned. And until, right, I mean, this wasn't entirely our idea. Of course it wasn't, right? We didn't start imperialism. We didn't start slavery. These are things that were all thrust upon us. And now it's industrialized. Right? They've made it so that you can't make a decent living without overworking. You come home to a family that doesn't appreciate you. A wife who only loves your wallet or your position, and society is crumbling. And they're using war as a distraction. Now, before we get further into it, I'll just go around the map. Right. There's the barking from the beast of Kiev, pointless little bureaucrat. It's got no new ideas, nothing, no answers. Okay, we've got some combat here on the front line, here and there, but Northern Front, the little movement of the Russians and the Ukrainians' response. But most of it is just tit for tat, nothing intense. Pretty violent though for those few hours. But I've seen the footage and maybe I can find something that I could play without upsetting the YouTube gods, whereby you can see tank rolls up, fires a few shots, rolls off. It's really weird. You wonder if this is a war or what. But, it is a violent it's a special military operation. So it's pretty violent, but it's not as violent as it could be. And we should at least appreciate that fact. But that's because the strategy is to wear down the Ukrainians, to push them back. But in areas, of course, the pushback, it's not going as far or as fast as they want. And there's only slight, I see, I keep hearing about build-ups, but, showing, BBC showing you trains of Russian equipment heading to the front lines, but we see the front lines and they're barely moving. It's, we see them stalled here just outside of Chevashyar. They haven't overrun Krasnivia. They've pretty much, weren't they supposed to be in Brussels by Christmas? The media has got you, well, not you. The media has the panic artists so profoundly panicking. But weren't they supposed to be in Moscow by Christmas? It's the same thing. overpromise, underdeliver. Don't care about the people, but there's nothing really here to report. It is almost at a standstill, not quite a standstill. There's still, as you can see, there's lots of military activity, and Russia's taken a few here and there's, a few bites out of Ukraine, but nothing spectacular, nothing big, and definitely nothing, well, not entirely nothing. They have all but taken this town. They have advanced here. There's been a big breakthrough here. The Ukrainian lines have crumbled. 1, 2, 3, bang, and they're in Tel Aviv. 1, 2, 3, bang. They're south of Tel Aviv. They've narrowed this gap. Take it. Still got here and there some of their river crossings intact. Once they secure this river crossing, they'll be going around this. And once they secure this, they'll go around, cut off Hulapol. Yeah, Hulapol. Apparently the Russians are using the road here as a front line. Don't know why they do that, but it's something that you see a lot of, these lines, whether they be rivers or roads or rail. If you look at Posk, the good old Posk bear trap, where the Ukrainians seem obsessed with taking the rail yard. I guess they love themselves men at war. Was it Men of War? Although there's a rail yard mission in one of the others, Cold Arms, I think. Big rail yard mission. Woo! We win this. Oh, we just get the Russians to funnel through this narrow band, and instead the Russians go around and it's what? It's just no idea, but here they are, going around. They're setting up river crossings here. Once they've got their permanent bridges or whatever operational and can deal with the Ukrainians, they will move up, I think, along. I think they're not going to cross. I think they're going to move along now and let the forces here move along. That way, you don't have, if you're not moving north here, you're going west, and these troops here are going west. You have no crossfire, right? So you don't want to be moving north here. You want to be moving west. So troops aren't running into each other. So logistics will probably set up in these various hubs. That's probably why Ukraine attacked here. Wasn't oil infrastructure as they claimed. Strikes on military no. There's the bear trap, but today not much activity, but still some activity. Again, just probing attacks building up towards something, but what that is only the Putin knows, and the Putin is the sneaky. Okay, the Putin is under the bed right now, listening and getting ready to jump out and go, whoa! and he's planning to kidnap the Zelensky and hold him hostage. Put his arm around him and go, noogie, everybody! But Krivitsy, one of Russia's favourite targets, got air-bombed, missiles and and glide bombs at Dnipro. And, of course, that's about it. The state of the war is much to do about nothing, as pretty much like the desert campaigns of Britain until America come along. And, well, this is where they want their Yankee Doodle Dandy moment, right? Where But of course, anything that falls from the sky is the Russian drone. Everything is Russia's fault. Zelensky stubbed his toe. Putin did it. He came with a hammer and went doink. And, everything is Putin. But Ukraine wasn't even in. Of course, the hobo of Kiev wasn't in Kiev. He was in Paris. Of course. Meeting with his lover, Macron. And was meeting the sandwich with two-tier's Granny Hammer, declaring their intent to deploy multinational forces once they have a ceasefire. Macron's talking about several thousand as a force of assurance, and Russia's going, oh, I'm so scared. Oh my, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. But little more. Zelensky's going, does this suit make me look fat? And Macron is going, no, of course not. And Tyr says, no, it makes you look like a short fuckwit. But here we have the Russians have destroyed some more equipment near Kupiansk. These are the, you see, look, these are the new 3D printed drones that they're talking about. That just slaps them, slap them together. What is it? Bugger off. All right. Got some background task or something that I've got to get rid of. But I can't figure out what's wrong. All right, so, yeah, these are 3D printed. These are $300, I think, on Temu or something. So, meanwhile, the West is paying millions of dollars for missiles. Russia's going, put $300. We'll send a dozen. Send a dozen. There you go. But, they are going to regret. Everybody's going to regret this war once it's over. But, the drunk, drunk on power, the drunk on stupidity. And never underestimate how the drug of wrath. This is why people go online every day to be angry. So that because it's a drug. They want to have their 2 minutes of rage every day. Makes them feel powerful. So I got you good, didn't I? Nah, mate. Fucking drongo. But, all this expensive military equipment's for naught, But the real fear, of course, is they don't want to admit it. Like, Zelenskyy is returning to Ukraine to challenge Zelensky, allegedly. Kiev Radio has been reporting this all day, and my research into this says that, Volodymyr Zelensky apparently has retired officially, and he's going to be meeting with officials in Ukraine. So that's the official story, right? The unofficial story is he is going to challenge Zelensky for that they are preparing. All this talk about troops in Ukraine is about an election, right? To decide the outcome of Ukraine and to deal with they're not there to contain Russia. It's a potential civil war, particularly with all these armed militias that have been ruling parts of Ukraine now since 2014. And that particularly the UK and France, they've been wanting to get troops into Ukraine now since the Crimean War, right? So, Napoleon tried. That little upstart from Austria tried. Should have spent more time thinking. But don't forget, right? It was Mannerheim, not the little upstart who came up with Blitzkrieg, and they didn't actually have a plan what to do after 42. So, should have a plan. If those who don't plan to fail, Naturally, they plan to fail. But, you has a debacle, right? The Ukraine is a mess, and they have to, but there's a escalation of arms, as they call it. They need a stabilization force. It's not about Russia, it's about Ukraine. But what the West, Zelenskyy preparing to return to Ukraine. He's left London already, allegedly. Apparently he's getting a bit of help from Britain to make sure that nothing happens to him. So now, whether or not you want to consider Zelenskyy legitimate is beside the point. What really has to happen, of course, is a election in Ukraine. This is an election that decides whether or not Ukraine will continue the war or they will end the war. It's A or B, right? So you're going to have two candidates or more. They are going to line up. You probably have your British and French, backing Zelenskyy. And we'll see whether or not Britain or anybody backs Excellency's advisor is also allegedly Alexei Aristovich, is going to run or not. I think he will. Maybe partnering with Valery, who knows? But let's see what there is. There's probably going to be the Trump candidate and the European candidate. Now, of course, the US is not part of the coalition of the willing. They've told them to fund this debacle themselves. They asked for and got told to fuck off when they asked for $50 billion. And the Russians are saying they want legal guarantees as well. That if Ukraine doesn't keep their word, you're not going to blame us and start another war. We want you to sort this mess out. And I think that's another sticking point that won't go down too well. But it's true, right? Most people do not accept the fact that Ukraine's Azov battalions, the rogue militias, were the reason for the breaking down of peace in Ukraine. And that Ukraine was run by dipshit cowards, and who never suffer the consequences of their actions. That's the problem with this world. But right now, the Ukraine, despite all this talk about, they destroyed another T-90, which was actually the T-72, but the average Joe, I couldn't tell them apart straight away, but T-90 is a slightly bigger gun, but and most of your T-90s are not in Ukraine right now. They are being fitted for snow. They've been fitted with snow tracks and they've been repainted, and they're getting electronic warfare refitted. They are mostly being used as what they call Terminators. These are basically nice name, right? But they mostly, what they do is they patrol, and there's a drone that launches, and they try to move the tanks up into a arc on the trajectory, and when the drone comes into their range, they open up with their Zu-23 automatics. The Zu-23 is a reliable autocannon, and like I said, I'm not sure when I said it, but I think it was today. I said to a few people, you don't want to be standing behind a tree when this thing goes off, right? These things are also used to shred troops, okay? 20mm cannon can shred most of your light vehicles, even some of your so-called armoured cars. Your IFVs, they can be shredded by an autocannon. Russians, of course, have upgraded some of their autocannons to 35s. But most of your anti-drone guns are still 23mm. A lot of your tank gun, a lot of your tank secondary machine guns 12.7s. But they do have a primary machine gun, which is a 23mm, or with a burst, just a quick burst fire, nothing really. But just to clear trenches. Some bozo pops up with a anti-tank. It's just there. So somebody pops up with an anti-tank missile in front of them. They just go pop. Because, your 20mm got quite the range. 23mm tear through a person and keep on going. It's not the point. It's not overkill. The reason they do it's not because they want the overkill. It's because they want the range. Because these days your anti-tank missiles have range. So when you spot your bozo getting ready to fire an anti-tank missile, he's not 50 meters away. He's not 100 meters away. He's bloody 1,000 meters away. So you need a heavier gun. Your 12.7 just ain't going to cut it anymore. And despite, what you see in video games, no, most of your so-called anti-aircraft guns are cope, right? Maybe when America straps some 50 cals on the top of the Shermans, yeah, they could have been used as anti-aircraft guns. But other than that, no, your 12.7mm, well, close to a 50 cal, could shoot down maybe your early helicopters, not these new modern ones. These new modern ones, yeah, might take out a few drones if you can see them, which is why they use auto cannons. It's why you might see some on Russian tanks. They're on a gimbal mount. They're a short barrel 20mm, not a full barrel. Full barrel 20mm. Yeah, it's going to have a much longer range, but it's just too heavy, and it's just got a few. Despite the rate of fire, the potential rate of fire these things have, they're only a short barrel with a short drum, and they just used to basically either clear trenches. Something pops up, they just go and take its head off the guy behind him, and the head off, and basically plough them into the hill. But the biggest problem they face, of course, is American equipment, and that's particularly HIMARS, which is why they are also going slow. The American equipment's what's slowing down the infantry fighting vehicle, the Bradley M2, which, of course, supposed to have been replaced by the M3, but bozo Obama killed a lot of programs. As soon as Trump sorts out a few industrialists and has a few rounds of golf, hey, don't knock the golf diplomacy. It worked with Japan. It worked with Korea. It's getting a lot of people on board. A lot of people, when they're on the golf course, they're a lot more relaxed than sitting in an office surrounded by advisors and media. They don't really want to talk. So they get out the golf course. They could say, "Gosh, I hate Keir Starmer. I hate Zelensky. He's a fucking buffoon." And yes, Macron, settle down, Macron. Yes, I know. What about that German guy? Oh, don't get me started on Mertz. So, yeah, Macron doesn't like Starmer. You can tell that. They don't like each other, right? The three amigos is bullshit. The coalition and the winning is bullshit. But if Trump could get those three bozos together over Greenland and then go in and go, nah, we're going to solve Ukraine without you. And it's like Trump is going, put my feet up on the desk and says, another thing I don't have to do that I got, just, this is what people don't understand about Trump. He triggers these morons to hyperventilate, and they go out to spite him, and then they end up doing exactly what he wanted. Master trolling, sir. Really good. Master trolling. And that's why I think the Ukraine war is stumbling to a grinding halt, because it's a wind down. I hope. I don't hope that... I hope I'm right this time, and that it's a wind down and not a preparation phase. The probing, then comes suddenly a big... Well, should be... Yeah. This wasn't a big attack. Then comes a big attack, 500 missiles or something. A couple of city blocks go turn into powder. Everything's char grilled, and then the few thousand Russian tanks which Russia has will roll into Hulapol or what's left of Kupiansk, or do the sweep. But we keep hearing from Putin that we're near the end. So hopefully that they've decided they're not going to push through here. They're not going to break the line here. Not this week. But say they did, then Ukraine's finished. And then, but I think that'll be too much of a panic. I think right now, Russia's decided, do they really want the hassle? Do they really want the hassle? Or do you really want the hassle? And maybe this far might be enough. Might be worth it. Again, before, I thought they'd just push through here and call it a day. But they haven't. Mainly because their breakouts have been contained soon after. Just like a Ukrainian offensive, the Ukrainians have what? 9 offensives, which have all gone, and about 3 which are holding, Kupiansk right now, and this little bite here, and this little bite one. This little bite here, which pushed this little bite here, stop the movement here, and of course Kupiansk. So out of 9, so they've got 9 big failures, right, within the last year, and really they have not had that many offensives, and they haven't lasted long, and they have not even gone far. We got an offensive, we liberated a town, and then they'll start singing and dancing. But how many times have they announced failed successes where they claim to have liberated Dupanilia? How many times have they claimed to have liberated Dupanilia? And how many times have they scrubbed stories? This BBC does that too. It's getting ridiculous with the memory hole. But I honestly think, and I hope, of course it could be just hope, that Ukraine is actually grinding to a halt, and that the announcements will start to flow. At first they won't make sense. There might be a few pullbacks, a few trade-offs, a few prisoner exchanges. It's all building up to where Russia will hold a meeting, Ukraine will hold a meeting, Trump will talk to people on the phone, European observers will go into Ukraine, and suddenly they'll announce an election. They'll announce the candidates, the political parties, the do's and don'ts, and I think they'll start marching as of battalion guys like they did in Serbia and I think a lot of them did come from Serbia, onto the next war zone, whether that be England or Germany or France, we don't know. But I'm pretty sure a lot of these Azov battalion guys were originally from Serbia. Don't quote me on that, because I think they're going to ship them off to Canada. Must be for the Quebec front. Don't wish the Canadians well on that one. I think Quebec has pretty much earned its right to be Quebec and an independent country by now. I think it's the best thing for everybody. Or an American state, and just be, but whatever it is, I think Canada's done as Canada. I think it's a failed state. Really do. I think it's been propped up far too long by American subsidies. And the last thing America wants right now is while they're picking up the pieces of Canada and wondering what to do with Mexico, is come along and pick up the pieces of Ukraine when Poland, really it should be Poland, Romania, and Hungary decide, the neighbours dealing with Ukraine, not the not the usual suspects of buck around and find out, because really, they have. And, well, they've got their answer. But it's not about liking Putin or hating Zelensky. It's about ending this war. And as I've said in other videos, the anti-war people are the ones with all the Ukrainian flags in their bio, and none of them will fight this war. You don't see the blue hairs going to Ukraine. You don't see the blue hairs joining the military in Ukraine. You know, there's still time, all you soy boys in UK, to join the Ukraine international brigade. But this explains probably why with the US aid cut, why they're now down 50,000 troops. This is winding down. Once the international brigade is gone, there goes 100,000 troops. Ukraine is not doing well with what they've got. Yeah. But I do think, they are holding back just a wee bit. I think Europe doesn't really want to escalate this. And they're, again, trying to save face and play politics and just stick it to Trump as much as they can. But it ain't working. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. But please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video. And bye for now.